Hi, my name is Ray Lloyd, and I am a certified Optavia health coach. And I am here today to teach you how to protect your business. You might be a brand new coach, or you might be a very seasoned coach. And this is really good information because as soon as you bought your coach kit, no matter how many people you intend on helping, or however many people you are currently helping, you own a business, and we want to help you protect it with following the legal compliant guidelines that we have in place. Now, I am going to be talking about a whole bunch of things that you don't want to do, but I don't want this to come off in a negative way. This is all being told to you and shared with you so that you can properly run your business and feel very, very confident that you are following the legal guidelines that are in place to help you. Okay, so we're going to be talking about using disclaimers and legal guidelines that are in place to protect you and to protect the company. So these legal guidelines are from the Optavia legal team who write the bylaws and the compliant documents. I also want to mention that these guidelines are in place to protect you from anything that the FTC could consider to be fraudulent behavior. So who is the FTC? The FTC is the Federal Trade Commission, which is an independent agency of the federal government whose principal mission is the enforcement of civil U.S. antitrust law and the promotion of consumer protection. So simply, their job is to protect the consumer from anything fraudulent. And so they will keep an eye out for anything like that and make sure that the consumers are being protected. Therefore, we need to make sure that we are acting in a certain way and running our businesses in a certain way that would not allow anything fraudulent to happen, even by accident. Okay. So the first thing that you want to keep in mind is using the weight loss disclaimer. This needs to be on any picture, not just a side by side, on any picture stating that you lost weight. That could be a selfie. That could be a video. That could be a picture of your dinner. It needs to be visible on there if you're talking about you losing weight. Now, you also cannot say how long you have maintained your weight so far. You can say that you lost your weight in 2018, but you cannot say you've kept your weight off for 2 years. You also cannot say something like, I will never gain it back. And you also cannot say this weight will stay off forever, as there is no scientific study that protects this. Now, obviously, that is your goal, that is your desire. You might even be doing it, but you cannot say it as it is not legally compliant. Now, talking about the disclaimer, there is different wording that is used when the time frame is mentioned versus when the time frame is not mentioned. So if you say I lost 30 pounds in 3 months, there is one disclaimer. And if you just say I lost 30 pounds, there is a different disclaimer. Now, we want to make sure that this is never forgotten. Otherwise, your post is not legally compliant and is open to possible issues, which we never want to happen. So you want to use the right disclaimer, and you want to put it, as you can see here on this picture, in a visible way somewhere on the photo, but not in a distracting place. So the disclaimers that you need to use that must be used on all of these photos is as follows. So if no time frame is mentioned, you would write, in a clinical study, the group on the optimal weight 5-in-1 plan lost 10 times more weight than the self-directed group. Average weight loss on the optimal weight 5-in-1 plan is 12 pounds. If the time frame is mentioned, you're going to use average weight loss on the optimal weight 5-in-1 plan is 12 pounds. Clients are in weight loss on average for 12 weeks. Now you might say, but Ray, my clients are losing a lot more than that in a lot faster time. And I would say that is very likely what is happening. However, being that we did a scientific study with findings to allow for this legal compliant weight loss wording, we need to use it. I don't know if maybe there will be a new one day that seems to fit more in what is actually happening, but this is what we need to put on the pictures. That being said, you don't want to put them in such a large, obvious way, because this could be a little bit misleading as to what the actual results are that you would be talking to your possible clients about. But this is what needs to be on there. This is what is our legally compliant wording that has to be used, and therefore we put it on the photo. So like I said, the disclaimer must be visible somewhere at the bottom, the side, up the middle. of the photo. And as you can see here on the bottom left, it's visible. You can see it, you can read it on all of these photos. One thing I did want to mention is that the eye scientifically reads from left to right. So if you put your before picture on the left and your after picture on the right, that is visibly better, more visually pleasing for the eye. If you put your after photo on the left, it just doesn't strike the brain as well as it would if the before picture is on the left. So that's just something I wanted to mention in regards to side-by-sides. Now, these are coaches from the transformation group. This is not anybody that we are personally affiliated with. So we don't know who these people are. So I'm not talking negatively about their side-by-sides to anyone that we know, but these are examples of how you don't want this to look. So as you can see on the bottom left, this purple wording is impossible to read. This disclaimer is not clear. It is not easy to read, and therefore it is not legally compliant. In addition, though, these other ones, the middle picture and the one on the right, is legally compliant, but it just isn't good business sense to put your disclaimer smack across the middle of your before picture or smack across your entire photo. That detracts and distracts from the outcome that you really want to have, which is that possible client being very inspired by the photo. And this way, they're just reading things or they can't even see the transformation. So the way you want it to look is clean, neat, and very easy to read. Now let's switch gears and talk about what you can post about in terms of health. So Optavia feels confident that they have enough data to support that the following 3 medical conditions can approve when doing plan correctly, which are high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and type 2 diabetes. You can say that a client no longer has these or is off medications for these. However, you must clearly indicate that it improved because they lost weight. Okay. Now, no other disease or medications can be mentioned as there is not enough clinical data, gathered scientific data proving it. And therefore, it is not legally compliant to post about, like getting off of asthma medications or no longer having arthritis. Now, it might be true. You might no longer have asthma from having lost weight. You might no longer have inflammation from having lost weight, but we can't post about it because there's no data protecting you if you were to talk about that, and the FTC considers that to be misleading. Now, under no circumstances can we say that Fueling's or Optavia's programs can cure or prevent disease. The virus or corona should never be mentioned in conjunction with our plan or Fueling's. Now, you can post an article or a video or just talk about the dangers of obesity. You can say that, but you don't want to say, I can help you not be obese, which could stop you from getting the virus. That is very misleading and definitely not something that we want anywhere on our social media, as the FTC would come down very hard on that. Now, in addition, it is very important not to mention that you can help people make money due to them losing their jobs because of the pandemic. This is a very precarious time right now, and the FTC considers saying this to be predatory behavior. It's taking advantage of people who are at a very low point in their life. And although, yeah, you could help people make money, especially nowadays, we don't want to have anything to do with that. We don't want to be posting about that, because it is taking people and they're vulnerable, and the FTC does not look kindly at that kind of behavior. Now we're going to switch gears again, and we're going to talk about if you are an Optavia coach who owns a competing business. So you have a business within the health, wellness, weight loss field, right? So if you own a salon, that is not a competing business, and we'll talk about that in a second. But if you are in a competing business where you sell a gummy that helps people lose weight, that would be considered a competing business. Now, you can be both. You can sell your gummy and you can be an Optavia coach. However, promoting Optavia will need to be done on a separate social media account. So the gummies on one account and Optavia is on another. You cannot promote this gummy business, and I'm just using that as an example, on any team or client Facebook group. You cannot display Optavia promotional items in a way that will confuse the consumer when they are purchasing from your other business. So if you go to an event and you're promoting your gummy, you cannot also promote Optavia. That's misleading. That looks like you're getting them in one way and then you're offering them something else. And that's actually the definition of a pyramid scheme. And we are obviously not one, but you don't want to act like one. You cannot bundle your Optavia offer with a competing business offer. So you cannot say, if you become my client, I'll send you a bottle of free gummies. Now, if you own a non-competing business, like you own a salon, for example, okay, so promoting Optavia can be done on the same social media account. However, it has to be really clear that they are separate and you cannot mention both in the same post. So you can post about giving people haircuts and you can post about weight loss, but you don't want to do them on the same post, but they can be on the same account. Now, you cannot promote this other business in any team or client Facebook group. So you cannot post your salon discounts in any of those groups. You cannot display Optavia promotional items in a way that will confuse consumers when they are purchasing from your other business. Now, this would apply to a doctor's office. Now, a doctor can be an Optavia coach. Absolutely, you can help your clients with that. You just want to keep them separate. So when your client or your patient walks into your doctor's office, you don't want to have Optavia promotional items in the office. You want to be talking to them about their health and their weight loss in a different phone call, a different capacity. And you cannot bundle your Optavia offer with a competing business offer. So you cannot say, when you become my client, I'll also give you a free haircut. Switching gears again, it is illegal for a coach to stock and sell Fuelings. That is actually amazing. It protects us from being one of those scammy businesses that makes you stock items and ship out items. We don't do that. Not only do we not do that, it is actually illegal for us to do that. So you cannot buy large stock of things and then sell them to other people. And I think that's very clear and simple to understand. Switching gears again, people are trusting you with their personal information and credit card numbers. In the bylaws, you are legally required to responsibly handle this information and dispose of it carefully when you're done with it. And that's easy enough. Once you get all their information, you input it into the system. Just make sure that you get rid of that information safely. And so it's no longer within your responsibility. You don't have it anymore. Okay. Now, another thing that we need to be very careful of is, as an Optavia coach, you may not disparage, demean, or make negative remarks to third parties, other coaches, or clients about Optavia, its comp plan, or other coaches / clients. Violation of the policy may subject the coach to disciplinary action up to and including termination. Now, I don't see why anybody would ever want to do that, but if you ever had anything negative to say, it should not be done in this capacity. Okay, now, did you know that if you become a coach and then your spouse decides to coach, legally you need to coach together? So you will become co-coaches, and this is done very easily on Connect. You can ask your mentors how to do this, but the spouse cannot become a coach under the other spouse. They are not a coach on their spouse's team. They are a coach together. Let's talk about the fact that words matter and how you describe yourself on social media. Now, in both your bio on Instagram and Facebook, or any other social media platform that you use, you want it to tell people in your bio that you can help them with their health, that you are a health coach, that you lost weight, all that good stuff. Otherwise, you're just a business without your open for business sign on it, right? You want that open for business sign on it, but you don't want to write certified health coach, because legally you need to include the word Optavia with that. So you would have to say certified Optavia health coach. Now, we don't find it helpful to brand directly as Optavia, not only for how attractional marketing works and not giving people information to Google unnecessarily, but also because you want to brand as yourself. And there is a really great video about why you don't want to do that in your team page, and you can look at that so you can understand more. But being that we don't want to brand as Optavia, and you don't want to write certified health coach, because then you have to write Optavia, you just want to take the word certified out. So you can use words like health advocate, health coach, or owner of the name of your business, right? So owner of Lloyd's Health, or you could just say coach, something like that, but just leave out the word certified. Let's talk about wellness credits. So you might not know what this is, but wellness credits is when you want to give your client some money off their order. So let's say they referred someone to you and you want to give that person who referred them $25 as a thank you off their next order. Or if you're giving someone a $50 coupon off their order, you can buy wellness credits that would take that money off of their order before they put it in. However, legally, it cannot exceed 50% of the full purchase price. Not that I would ever see that happening, but just so you know, legally, if the order is $400, it cannot be more than $200. However, Optavia also retains the right to determine what an excessive amount of wellness credits being given is. So if they see a coach doing an excessive amount of wellness credits over and over, they have the right to look into that and investigate it. Now, for payments, a coach cannot use their own credit card to purchase on behalf of another client or a coach. Now, did you know that coaches may not interview or interact with the media in regards to Optavia, its products, or its program without written consent from the company, even if the information given is positive? So if someone wants to interview you about your weight loss, you need to go to Optavia Corporate to get permission for that, because anything promotional or media related needs to come from them and not from us. That would also put you in a place that could legally put your own business at risk. It's not just Optavia's name, but like, you want to be really careful with what you say regarding your own self, right? Your own brand. So even if you were to do a live on Facebook with someone else or do a podcast with somebody, you want to be really, really careful, because even if you don't say the words Optavia, you are representing that company. You are a coach of theirs. And if someone were to Google you, you would probably pop up as an Optavia coach. It would be eventually public knowledge as to what company you use to help lose your weight or to build your business. And you would have to have all sorts of stuff on there legally, you know, in terms of the disclaimers, if you're talking about your weight loss. So you really need to be very careful with how you are in the public eye when you are, you know, choosing to talk about your weight loss. And then even further, you cannot interview with a newspaper without written permission from Optavia directly. Now, coaches cannot publish advertising tools on a website, if you were to have one, that uses the Optavia trademark logos, etc. So you, like I said, you are branded as yourself. You're not branding as Optavia using their trademark information. Now we're going to talk about finances. So coaches need to be careful with making lifestyle and exaggerated financial claims. You don't want to make improper representation of the comp plan. And coaches should also not misrepresent the work it takes to build this business. So saying things like, this is really easy, is not something that you want to say on your social media. Or saying that you grew to this huge income, or posting a picture of this really fancy car, is definitely something you don't want to do. So let's talk about that. Financial claims are very serious, because we do want to show people that they could make money as a coach, but it has to be done in a really modest way, because anything else looks janky to the FTC. So in December 2020, very recently, the FTC announced Operation Income Illusion, which included over 50 law enforcement actions aimed at false or misleading promises of income and financial independence. So a lot of companies got letters from the FTC, and a lot of leaders in these companies also received letters from the FTC, and sometimes action was taken when people make claims that mislead people or make promises that are not actually able to be promised, because this is all based on someone's work ethic, their ability to put in the time, their desire to put in the time. This is not something that you just snap your fingers and it just happens, right? So earnings/income claims enforcement include claims like, be your own boss, no financial limit, I retired from my job. Now you might say, but I did retire from my job. And I understand that, and I'm actually so happy for you, but you cannot say that legally on social media, because we cannot quantify your work ethic. We cannot quantify how hard you worked and the time you put in and the sphere of influence you had. You might not be duplicable. You might be the one person who got to that top 1%. We cannot promise that to other people. And so we cannot say it on social media and make claims that other people will say, well, she said we could do it and then I didn't. That looks misleading, and the FTC takes that very, very seriously. Coaches need to be careful with making lifestyle and exaggerated financial claims. Don't make improper representation of the comp plan, and they should also not represent the work it takes to build the business. Now, I'm repeating that because it's that important, right? So the best practice is to avoid posting or making videos about money, finances, etc. on your personal wall and stick to health and mindset posts, right? You will bring in clients who want to come in for the health, right? Our offer is so powerful and not misleading, and we can say so much about the weight loss. And then once you're talking to them, if they were to choose to pay this forward, you absolutely can have that conversation about finances with them one-on-one. But you don't want to be posting pictures of your paycheck or pictures of a car that you bought or a fancy bag that you bought on your personal wall, because we can't quantify that and we can't promise that. It's all based on you, and you probably work really hard for that. And that other person might not be willing to do it. So you can talk about how much you love coaching, right? You love the community, you like that it's fun, but it is safest not to make financial claims, even if it's small, on your own wall, as any of these posts require a financial disclaimer. Now, you've seen the financial disclaimer. We use it in Do Well by Doing Good. But if you don't want to brand as Optavia, which is a best practice, then you're not going to want to talk about finances on your own wall because you're not going to want to use a disclaimer. However, if you were to talk about it, you would need a disclaimer. So it's a catch-22. So best practice is just not to brand as an Optavia coach on your social media. That way, it doesn't put that pressure of all of these things that we're talking about, because now you have that added layer of, oh, I'm branded as an Optavia coach. You just don't want to brand as an Optavia coach. It's safer to just brand as yourself and use attractional marketing and allow people to come in that way instead of branding for the company. You also don't want to post other coaches' financial success. You can stick to telling your own story in a compliant way, like I love to coach and I love that I'm helping people and I love that I'm, having a good time with this community and not naming numbers, but you don't want to post another coach and say, this person made this much money, right? It's a lot more iffy when you start talking about other people's stories. You also want to avoid posting pictures or videos that reflect wealth. So if you're on a vacation and you just want to say, hey, went to such and such beach with my family, having such a good time, you absolutely can do that, but you don't want to post a picture of you like dripping in diamonds on a yacht with a Louis Vuitton, drinking the most expensive wine and say #LoveCoaching. That's definitely a big no-no. Now, when posting anything business related, especially in Do Well by Doing Good, you want to always emphasize the effort that it takes to be successful. So you never want to write either in Do Well by Doing Good or on your own wall that coaching is easy, or everyone or anyone can do it, or all you need is a half an hour a day, because you might be working a half an hour a day. You might feel like it's easy. You might think everyone can do it, but that's not actually true. And people do have to work hard. And most people are putting in more than a half an hour a day, and it's not for everyone. As much as we would love for everyone to experience this, it's not. And the FTC deems that as fraudulent behavior to make these promises that actually can't be followed through for everyone. Now, let's talk about Do Well by Doing Good, because in that group, you could brand as Optavia because it's a group where people all know what we do and what we are and know that we're Optavia coaches. And so we have a little more leeway with talking about the finances because we will be using, and we do use, the income disclosure photo on every single post. So the only reason why we don't use the disclaimer on our own walls is because we don't want to brand as Optavia coaches. In that group, we can talk about it because we're going to use the income disclosure photo that brands us as Optavia, but that's okay because everyone in there already knows that we are a coach. However, we don't want that photo to be a comment on the post. It needs to be a second photo. So if you're taking a picture of you on a beach and saying, I love coaching, that photo of you on the beach plus the income disclosure photo must be together on that post. They have to be easily seen together. That way you're not misleading them. They read the income disclosure and they see that not everybody makes that kind of money, right? People do have to work hard. The people in the top 1% it's not a lot of them, right? And the FTC want them to know that if they want to get there, they're going to have to work hard. And you also want to avoid making above average claims in Do Well by Doing Good, like I paid off this much debt, or I bought a very expensive bag, or I paid for my car in cash because of coaching, right? Now, once you grow and rank, even a photo of you on an expensive vacation or in front of a pricey car without mentioning coaching at all is deceptive, and you need to be very careful with posting posts like that. So even in Do Well by Doing Good, we need to be at the utmost care with making the proper representation of our income possibilities and making sure people know that you do work hard and that it's not easy, and you don't want to be making claims above normal. Like if it's going to shock the pants off of someone, you probably don't want to post about it. Those are the kinds of conversations you can have one-on-one with someone who's asking, but you don't want to be talking about anything above average, right? So flying in a private jet is something that you definitely want to avoid posting about, even in Do Well by Doing Good. We're going to talk about supplemental income, right? Normal things, because we can't make promises above average because we don't know if people are going to work above average. Now, you want to make sure that your teams follow these guidelines, as we are all interconnected with compliance, and the results of following or not following these guidelines all affect one another. So essentially, if you see something, say something. Now, we are all here to support one another, not rat on each other. But if you see that someone's missing a disclaimer on their weight loss photo, let their mentor know. If you see that someone posted a Do Well by Doing Good without the income disclosure photo, which wouldn't happen because we monitor it like a hawk, but if it were to happen, you want to let us know, because no one would ever get into trouble. That's what we're trying to avoid, is anybody getting into trouble. So it doesn't matter if you're a brand new coach or a very seasoned coach. These are all things that you want to review and know and review with your teams, because we all affect one another. We're all in this together, in the good and the not good. So you want to make sure that your teams put the disclaimer on all of their weight loss related photos, including ones in groups. So if you are a coach and you are posting in your client support group, you need a disclaimer on there, even though it's in a private group, right? You want to make sure you are not making medical claims in your posts or mentioning the virus in relation to plant. You want to confirm that you are well versed in what you can and cannot do in promoting plant, so you don't accidentally make a mistake. And you do not want to make any financial claims on your personal wall, and you want to always use the financial disclaimer in Do Well by Doing Good. Now, I hope that this was clear and helpful. This is not meant to worry you. This is not meant to be overwhelming. This is simply meant to support you in running a compliant, healthy business that just runs smoothly and does everything that would help you help people and not inhibit you from helping people with accidentally saying the wrong thing or putting a spotlight on you for the wrong thing. This is all just meant to help you run a legally compliant business, which is everybody's goal. If you have any further questions, let your mentorship know. They are always available to help you.